We just watched how Smart Start works. Now let's talk troubleshooting. Well, welcome to Tech Tips, everyone. My name is Paul Landberg, and I'm a member of the training department here at Graco. With me today is Scott Muniz. Scott is a technical information specialist for our contractor equipment division. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Paul.
So, Scott, today we're going to talk about HVLP units, and specifically my FinishPro style HVLP unit will not shut off. We just watched how Smart Start works. Now we're going to talk troubleshooting. So Scott, as we said, safety first. Let's just talk about when you're going to work on this particular problem. What are some of the potential hazards and how do you mitigate those hazards?
I think the greatest potential hazard would be electrocution in regards to an electrical piece of equipment.
So electrical shock.
Shock.
Yeah, how does one mitigate that then when you're working on this piece of equipment?
Verify that your electrical outlets are actually grounded when using that piece of equipment. When testing, you will have to run that piece of equipment, so you want to verify that you are grounded. When not needed, unplug it.
Okay. So if my FinishPro style HVLP will not shut off, Scott, what is the first thing that you would look for?
First thing I'd look for, Paul, would probably be some type of air leak in the hose. It's the obvious ones. It's between the turbine system and the handle of the gun. Is there some type of break in that hose?
Okay, so how would you check the hose for a leak?
You could run your hand along that hose. You could spray it down with a little bit of water, mist.
Okay, like soapy water or something?
Soapy water. You'd see a bubbling effect coming off of the hose.
While it's running.
While it's running.
Okay.
But the machine would be plugged into a grounded outlet, at which point in time you would need to put a little bit of water on that hose so as to be able to identify the leakage.
Okay, and probably the obvious question, but so if it is indeed a leak from that hose, there's a pinhole in it or something like that, I'm assuming you would just replace that hose?
Replace it,
okay.
Yes.
So we've checked the hose and no air leaks in the hose, no problems there. What's next?
Then I would actually move on to the gun. There's something leaking on the gun possibly that is not allowing that turbine system inside that box to shut down.
One of the engineers mentioned to me that one way you can immediately identify if your air leak is in the hose or the gun is to close the ball valve at the end of the hose where it attaches to the gun. If the unit continues to run, then the issue is the hose. You're isolating it. If the unit does now indeed shut off, the issue is in the gun. Okay, and what points on the gun are you looking for here?
I could look at probably about 4 or 5 different ones.
For instance?
For instance, dirty seals.
Okay.
The incorrect air cap.
Incorrect air cap, okay.
Or the air cap is loose.
Okay. What else?
Or leaking air tube that's pressurizing the flex liner. That's squeezing the paint up and helping to prime up that gun.
So specifically then, how are you looking for these issues? I mean, are you looking for, if the air cap's loose, you would tighten it, okay, that type of thing. But like seals or the air tube, what do you do to look for that?
Again, I pick up my water bottle and mist it to see if I can see bubbles coming off of that gun. Seeing if it's obvious leakage coming from seams on the gun of the seals coming from the air cap, seals from the tube.
Okay, and I would again assume like the hose that we talked about, I would assume the fix would be to
replace
those
whatever
particular
damaged individual parts, or the obvious that your customer did not tighten up the air cap or didn't affix the pressure tube correctly.
Sure.
Remedy that situation and get it back in your customer's hands.
And again, by doing these one at a time, you can replace just the correct part as opposed to replacing a bunch of parts, which is just a waste of time and money.
Exactly. Whereas just a small item can be fixed without having to replace the whole gun.
Okay. Lastly now, Scott, what else would we check?
Lastly, I think I would actually check the flex line and cover of the cup itself to make sure that we're not escaping any type of air between the flex liner and the cup lid, and at which point in time that would complete the inspection upon the gun.
So again, let's just go back up to that then. Exactly how are you doing this? Is it just again another visual check? of sorts, or how does one check for those leaks there?
Again, I'm utilizing my spray bottle with a little bit of soapy water on there so as to be able to see if I'm bubbling up, if I cannot feel or hear a leak.
Okay, so you might even be able to feel it. It might be real
Exactly.
obvious. You feel the air leaking out or something suctioning in. You know there's an issue.
A lot of what we've been talking about are all those obvious
Yeah, they are.
Leakage of air.
And they all relate to air.
Yeah. And so I think most of what we're seeing there is just a real quick fix in regards to the air escaping off of that gun.
Okay. Well, Scott, thank you for your time today with Tech Tips.
You're very welcome, Paul. Thanks for having me.
For more information, please refer to the following.